This is 8A. Good morning. Turn this light down. How are y'all today? Too dark. So we're starting on Monday. But at least it's a short week this week. Sorry, I didn't close the door. Well, I hope you had a good weekend. Mine was interesting, but we're hanging in there. I'm in glasses for a while, although I don't have real glasses because I never wear them. These are just for reading after I take my contacts out in the evening. So we'll see how that goes. I'm seeing another specialist today, so we'll see. I don't know what happened, but anyway, life goes on. So let's talk about what you're supposed to do today. Here. So our new unit is on system of equations. That's what we've been working on, what we started last week. Not a fantastic banner, but at least it gives you an idea of what's going on. It's about the intersections of lines and planes. I thought I made that short enough so it would fit. If you are still working on something for me that you're still making up work from first 6 weeks, you'll need access to Unit 1. If you're behind on the Unit 2 and the test we just took, then you might need access to 2. So I put those links here at the top. I have the district attendance quizzes here, but your SAT prep is much more important. So I've listed it first. Once I listed both of them last week, most people stopped doing the SAT prep. And it's right now, the only people who can see either one of them is me. And I want you to do the SAT prep. So I've left those here and I put them at the top. So hopefully you'll do those for attendance. If you're not willing to do both, at least do this one. I'm going to check this one first because it is more important. We need to build the speed that you need. It's not that you can't work the problems. Your scores are not low. The students that I see in SAT prep, I get to do that on the weekends, is their scores are not low in the non-calculator section because they don't know how to work the problems. It's because they're not fast enough. And so that's what we're working on. We're working on exposing you to as many problems as possible from SAT practice tests. But what we're really, really working on, in addition to you seeing those problems and getting used to how they're worded, is speed, because they are no calculator questions and you're not allowed a calculator on them, and things you're supposed to know or be able to logic or reason for yourself. So I want you to keep doing those. So I gave those priority. The others are still here. So we started with systems of equations and with graphing last week. And so today we're going to start with solving. I have or will have, well, I'll get to it, talk about it when I get to it. So 2x2 systems you should have done in Algebra 1. So we have a little bit of review of that, but our focus in Algebra 2 is the 3x3 systems. So you have, and this says 2x2, there's a little above. This one it was, It's kind of fun. It's still math, but it's still, they set it up in kind of an interesting way to review the 2x2 systems, and it goes all the way through them. It's 6 minutes, so it's a little bit long, but it goes all the way through with graphing, with substitution. It goes through all the steps. I think the guy, for me, the guy talks a little slow, but you know that you can always change your playback speed here, right? Anytime I give you a video, even if it's me, then if it's a little too slow for you, you can just click this and speed it up. You know, it depends on how fast the person is talking. I almost always use either 1 1/4 or 1 1/2. Once in a while, I'll have to watch something for school that is, the person talks so slowly that I just can't stand it, and I'll go a little faster. When you get up to 2x, it almost sounds like a cartoon, but again, it depends on how fast the person's talking. So you can speed these things up if you want to. And then this is the model that I gave you last class. So I just put it here as a preview, that for you to review all 7 steps of what you do each time in order to use substitution for solving a 3x3 system. When, you know, I would say when you're lucky, it's not so bad when one of these only has 2 variables, or especially if one of these only has 1. But when you have 3 variables and 3 equations, there are a lot of steps, and you have to be very, very careful. If we do this in class, it usually takes a whole page. You won't do one this complicated. It'll still have the 7 steps, but usually on your test, we give you something that's a little bit more simplified, because this can take you 20 minutes just to do one question. But you do need to understand the concept and the flow and the logic of all the steps. After we finish this today, then next class, I'm going to teach you a different method called elimination. And it's my preferred method when you can use it. It's faster when you can use it and you don't have technology. And then finally, at the end, we're going to teach you how to use technology to do all of this. So it does get easier. We start with this one. Substitution is something you started in Algebra 1, so you're familiar with it. It's a common procedure in a lot of problems, not necessarily just to do all these steps. So I put that here for you to review. And then the first thing you're going to do is solve a riddle with a puzzle. And this is just to show you that substitution is part of life in a lot of things, but to give you something a little bit fun. So this is the activity. I mean, it's set up as a quiz. And then when you start the quiz, it's going to show you, here's the puzzle, and you're going to solve this system. When you get the answer, you're going to find the answer in this list. And then for the quiz, you're going to go down here and match it. So once you've solved it here, so let's say the first one was no and tallest. So then you would go down here and you would find no, and you would choose tallest. Actually, that's kind of silly, isn't it? Because you have all the answers and you don't know whether they're right or not. Oh, but you have to do them. But your final answer has them in order of A, B, C, D, whatever. I guess I should have done it that way. Oh, well, maybe I'll fix it. Maybe I won't. Because you won't know what the riddle says if you don't get them in A, B, C order here. All right, I'll think about fixing it. So then on your, I had this, have you go to return. I should have those as, yeah, I'll do that. I'll fix it. So then that was the last thing for the Discover tab. And then observe. Right here where this says video question, the other GT Algebra 2 teacher, Coach Merrill, is creating something to go here for you, but she couldn't get it ready and get it to me until sometime this morning, and then I'll go back and post it. But she has a very good, I looked everywhere trying to find a really good video for you on going through the steps of a 3x3. And I just couldn't find one I was happy with. I mean, I found some, they were like 16 and 20 and 24 minutes long, and I'm not giving you that. So she has a good PowerPoint that she has used in the past, and she's either going to give me the PowerPoint or she's going to go through and record her teaching through the PowerPoint and make that into a PowerPoint presentation. So I'll post this for you as soon as she gets it to me this morning. In the meantime, I've given you some things. I've given you the model. If you're comfortable with it, you can go ahead and do this. And then, so then this is to set up the Brain Genie. This should be the link that takes you directly there. If you haven't joined before, the code is there. And then when you're done with this Brain Genie, I want you to take a screenshot of your results and upload it. So this is an assignment. That was the only way I know to get input from Brain Genie into Canvas to show that you've done it. So take a screenshot, save it to your computer, and then this is expecting you to upload a file here, which will be the screenshot of your completed work. So hopefully this is going to take you right to your class. Yeah, 2020-21, GT Algebra 2. And the one that you're working on is this one, the solving 3x3 substitutions. I think it has 3 goals. Oh, wait, I can do this now. I can move all this. I was able to pick, they got monitors for the teachers, and I was able to pick it up and set it up here at home so I can get that stuff out of the way. Yeah, so just the 3 skills. Basically, when you're solving these systems, there are 3 possibilities. You either have one solution only, even with a 3x3, and that's the picture I showed you, and I posted it at the top for your banner. You could have no solutions, so they don't cross at all, or you could have an infinite number of solutions. So these skills are practicing each one. I don't understand how Brain Genie decides what score to give you. I mean, yes, if you just get 4 questions in a row, right, it's 100. But in the past, I've had students think they had to just keep going and going for some reason that I don't quite understand. If you can do these, if you can get 1 or 2 of each kind correct, then you're golden. That's great. That's all you need to be able to do is to use substitution. The biggest problem with it is not that it's difficult, but that it's long and you tend to make mistakes. So I just want you to be able to do a couple and understand what happens when you get no solution. When you're working the problem and there's no solution, what happens is you end up with something like 2 is equal to -3. And when that happens, because it can't be true, at that point you stop and you don't do anything else. There is no solution. If you end up with something like x is equal to x, or maybe even 2 is equal to 2, then that means you have an infinite number of solutions, because all the values for one are equal to all the values for the other. And so that's an infinite number of solutions. So I want you to see the difference between the 3 different kinds and what happens mathematically, because you'll have questions on the test, or usually we have a question where we've partially worked it, but maybe there's an error and you have to find the error, or we've partially worked it and we ask you, what is the next step? And so you need to know what you would do next. And then we would ask you a question where we said, we've worked it to this point, but you ended up with, something like 2 is equal to -3, and we'll ask you what that means, so that you won't be working out a whole problem on the test, but you will be answering questions about the procedures and about how you get the different kinds of solutions here. All right, so that's all I have for today. I didn't make it very long because the math itself is kind of lengthy, and I am going to go in and fix that quiz for you, because I just wasn't thinking. It just doesn't make sense for you to be choosing the things that are already on the paper. That's just crazy. I don't know where my head was. Well, I do know where my head was. I'm worried about my eye, but I don't want to not be able to wear contacts, and I don't want anything to happen to my eye. So I want to be able to see. So anyway, I was kind of stressed about that this weekend. All right, any questions? Over here. Yes, I'm good except for my eye, but it's better today. It's not as infected as it was Saturday. It's just the doctors that I saw 2 different doctors on Saturday, and I have another appointment with a different specialist today. They don't know what's wrong with it. So other than that, yes, I'm good. I worked a lot this weekend, but that means I'm getting closer to getting caught up. For those of you who haven't put your name in the chat, please do that so that there is a record that you're here. All right, so are there any questions? Are there any problems that you're having with it? Is there something you don't understand? Do you need to see me work part of one of these problems? Questions? Okay. All right, I figured out how to do this. So you'll have to give me just a second just to set it up, and it might be noisy while I do that because I have to turn off the sound. Where is my Zoom thing? Let's see, shortcut. Okay, do this. I think I did this. Okay, this worked when I tried it Friday. Maybe I just joined my own meeting. Don't connect to audio. So now I'm there. And I said, all right, I have to give permission. I guess there's another way I could have done it, but all right, we'll do it this way today. I'll just do it this way. don't know why I did that. Okay. Oh, this is the last one. I need to clear the screen. So now I need one of the problems to work, right? Do you have a particular one you want me to work, or do you want me to just find one? Oh, and I can't see the chat now. Okay, why did it put it all back on this screen? Pick one of these that I need to fix for you. That's the riddle. Oh yeah, that's what I want. Okay, for the first two on here for A and B, you're just plugging in those three numbers, substituting for the values, and checking to see if these three values for X, Y, and Z fit into, oh, you can't see that, fit into those three problems. So I'll pick one of the others. So we have, yeah, that's one of the easy ones. I'll do one of the harder ones. X minus 2y plus 2z. Can you see this on the screen? And I can't see your chat stuff anymore, so. Why? I took it to the other. Nope, won't let me. Okay, obviously, I have some things to learn about how to use a second monitor. There it is. Oh, the chat can be over there. All right, so you can see it. Oh, but now I can't see the problem. X plus 5. X plus 5. That's 36. So you want to pick a variable that you can solve for. The easiest thing to do, when you're choosing these is to find one where you don't have to divide. So it'll be nice to either solve for X or Z in this one, because there's no coefficient with it to have to divide by. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can pick one. So some of this is just thinking about it once you get used to it, thinking about which one you want to use. I think in this case, I'll solve for X, because then it'll be pretty easy to put that in with the others. So if I want to take this one, I usually label these with the, that's interesting. so I know which equation I'm working with, because you have to always make sure that that you've used all of them. So if I take this one and I want to solve it for x, then this is going to become, I'm going to add the y and subtract the z to the other side. So then I'm going to get y plus y minus z minus 5, because I moved these things to the other side. So now this one is my fourth equation. And I'm going to take it and substitute it into my first equation. So in place of x here, so my first equation is x minus 2y plus 2z equals negative 11. And right here in place of x, I'm going to put all of this, because x is equal to all of that. So now I have y minus z minus 5 in place of that x, and then minus 2y plus 2z equals negative 11. So y minus 2y leaves me with minus y. Sorry, this thing is in the way. But I could minimize it. I guess not. So y minus 2y is minus y. Minus z plus 2z is plus z. And the minus 5 here, I add to the other side. And I get negative 6. So this is now my fifth equation. So I know that negative y plus z is negative 6. All right, so I've used 1 and I've used 3, but now I have to use 2 in order to eliminate x from it. So I'm going to take 4, take this one from 4, and I'm going to plug it into 2. So we're going to write 2 over here as just copying it, 2x plus 5y minus 7z equals 36. And then in place of this x, I'm going to put the value, I'm going to substitute the value of x. So I have 2 times y minus z minus 5, which is what x is equal to, plus 5y minus 7z equals negative 36. So I have to distribute the 2 here to these 3. So I get 2y minus 2z minus 10 plus 5y minus 7, doesn't look like a 7. 7z equals negative 36. So then I combine like terms. I'm going to add the 10 to the other side. So I have negative 26 here. 2y plus 5y is 7y. Negative 2z minus 7z is minus 9z. So now this is my sixth one, and I'm going to use these two. Minus number 5 and number 6 are only now 2 variables. So now I'm down to this system using 5 and 6. I'll just put 5 here. I have negative y plus z equals negative 6. So I need to solve one of these. If I solve for the y here, then I'm going to have to divide by the negative. I'm going to have to divide by the negative 1. So it'll be easier if I just add the y to the other side and solve for the z. So I'm going to take 5. I'm going to add y to both sides. And I get z is equal to y minus 6. And this is my 7th one. And I'm going to plug it into the 6th one. So I take 6, which is 7y minus 9z. But now I'm going to replace z with this. Y minus 6 equals negative, what's number 6 equals negative 26. That's why I that's why I write down which one I'm using. So then we distribute this, we get 7y minus 9y plus 54 equals negative 26. 7y minus 9y is minus 2y equals, and we subtract the 54. So we get negative 80, and we divide by negative 2. So y is equal to 40. All right, so this is now our 8th equation. And now we just take this y and we can either put it into 5 or we can put it into 6. We're going to substitute in the value for y. Well, this one is simpler. The 5th one we had was simpler. So I'm going to go back, take this value of y here. And so it becomes negative, and the y value was 40 plus z equals negative 6. So then we add 40 to the other side, and we get z is equal to 40 minus 6 is 34. And then we take this y and this z, and we can substitute it into any one of the first 3. So we're going to now take these two values up, and we can plug it into either one of these. So I like the third one, no coefficients to deal with. So we get x minus, and y is 40. Changing pens. And then plus z, which is 34. And that's equal to negative 5. So negative 40 plus 34 is negative 6. So this becomes x minus 6 equals negative 5. And we add the x to the other, we add the 6 to the other side. Move this thing up. Okay. We add the 6. So we get x is equal to 1. So my solution is the x value, which is 1, the y value, which is 40, and the z value, which was 34. And I hope I did that without a mistake. So let's look and see. So it looks like I made a mistake. X minus 2y plus 2z is negative 11. 2x plus 5y minus 7z equals 36. X minus y plus c equals negative 5. Okay, all of you are watching. Do you see my error? What did I add or subtract wrong? Looks like I copied it correctly. So we solved this one. We got plus y minus z. Y minus z minus 5. We put that here. Y minus z minus 5 minus 2y plus 2z equal negative 11 minus y. Oh, very, very first thing. Very, very first thing. You guys should have been yelling at me. This is a plus y. No, that's right. Minus 2y plus y is minus y. Minus z plus 2z is plus z. So 2 minus 1 is 1. Minus 5 gets added to the other side. Negative 11 plus 5 is negative 6. So I don't see a problem there. Then I put that in 1. Oh, that was in 1. Then I put it in 2. Y minus z minus 5 plus 5y minus 7z equals 36. Oh, did I make that negative? I changed it to a negative right there. So this is the biggest problem with this. None of us are perfect and making these mistakes. But that 36 right there is positive. And when I rewrote it right here, I wrote it as negative. The steps, the process is all correct, but I made a sign error right here. So my answer's not right. I guess the good thing about that is I didn't give you an answer for your problems, but you know where the mistake is. So questions? You can take a screenshot of this if you want, but you need to correct the error I made here and finish it correctly from there on. I'll answer your questions if you want. Do you need further explanation of this? Seeing it worked out, even though I made a mathematical error, the steps are correct. Any other questions about it? No?
No, ma'am.
I got to get us something to cover that door. The sun in the mornings is too bright. Well, I don't have anything else for you. I'll go right now and fix that silly thing I did with your homework assignment as the quiz, so that when you put your answer in, you'll know what the riddle is instead of just copying what I wrote. So I'll fix that now. And otherwise, then I don't have anything else for you. Just be sure your name's in the chat.
All right, bye.
Okay. Bye. Y'all have a good day.
You too.
Stop sharing this.